Hey, what's up, you guys? This is John Chacon with Austin Performance Fitness, coming at you with another segment of the Coach's Corner. Today, we're going to be talking about the one-arm dumbbell snatch. With this movement, we're actually going to be doing the hang version of the dumbbell snatch. It can be done from the ground, but we're going to be doing it from the hang position, which starts at the hips. We're going to go with the snatch. The idea is, in one movement, you're going to go from the hips to the overhead position without anything in between. Typically with like a clean and press, a clean and push press, you're performing a clean first, coming up to the shoulder or the rack position, and then going overhead. With the snatch, we're going to be as efficient as possible and move it as explosively as possible, utilizing our hips, our shoulder, and then punching through the ceiling with our hand. When you start out with the dumbbell, find a dumbbell that you can work with that is, one, you can hold on to it to start with, but two, make sure it's not too light. Sometimes this is one of those rare movements where you do need a little bit of weight to be able to experience that pulling motion when you shrug with your shoulder. Before I even pick this kettlebell up, or this dumbbell up, I'm going to show you the motions with my hands, and then we're going to work through it with the dumbbell. Start with your feet about shoulder width apart, toes straight ahead, heels are down. You're going to start off with one arm. This is the one-arm dumbbell snatch. You're actually going to be holding that dumbbell centered on your hips. You don't want to have it off to the side or over here or right in front of the hips. To initiate the movement, I'm going to bend at my hips, slightly at the knees, pushing my butt back. I'm also going to keep this arm tight to my torso, tight to my rib cage, so it's pulled in a little bit behind my shoulders. It's not hanging out here. I'm going to lower my hips to get some elasticity from these hamstrings and glutes. On the way up, I'm going to extend my hips, but I'm not going to start shrugging my shoulder until my hips are extended. I'm going to extend the hips, leading into shrug of my shoulder, and then my elbow driving up, arm overhead, catch, and land. With the dumbbell, when I start out, I'm going to have it directly in the front of my hips. Arm fully extended, arm tight to my side. I'm going to bend at the hips, keeping that arm in tight and close underneath my center of gravity. On the way up, I'm going to extend the hips, shrug the shoulder, and land with that arm fully extended, making sure that that arm is fully extended. I like to use the cue, punching the ceiling. Okay, from the side, again, make sure that you're not trying to pull that arm first before the hips. I'll show you what that looks like. Make sure those hips get fully extended first. That hip extension is going to lead and drive force into that shoulder to shrug and pull straight up. Make sure that dumbbell stays right in front of your body and clears right in front of your face. You also want to avoid what I call the half moon, where it starts from the bottom and comes out in front and overhead. Well, guess what? If you don't have enough stopping power for that dumbbell is going to keep going behind you and might not do something too nice to your shoulder. So start off going directly from underneath to straight up, extend the hips, shrug the shoulder, directly overhead. You'll also notice that at the end of my snatch, I actually have a little bit of a drop with my hips. All I'm doing with that, or the reason I'm using it, is because as that dumbbell is traveling over my face, over my head, I'm dropping to get underneath it to make sure that I can allow that when I catch it, that arm is fully extended and locked out. It's in line with my ear. From the side, everything is right in place. As far as your hand goes, when you catch it overhead, you can go whichever way that your shoulder feels most comfortable. You don't have to hold it here. You don't have to hold it out. I just stop where my shoulder naturally feels most comfortable, and it also allows my shoulder, elbow, and wrist to be in line and my arm fully extended overhead. Okay? So, quick recap. Start from the front of the hips. Bend at the hips to load up the hamstring and glutes. Keeping your arm in tight. Extend the hips, shrug the shoulder, catch overhead, punch the ceiling. When you come back down, you have two choices. Either come down to the shoulder and then back down to the hip. If you're going for more of a high rep explosive set, you can come all the way from the overhead position down in front of your hips. Look like this. You have to be very strategic when that dumbbell goes from the overhead position to down in front of you. You don't want to go too slow. Allow the dumbbell to do its thing, But as soon as that weight gets just above your hips, start to lower yourself with the dumbbell so that you don't get that what do you call it? You'd probably call it like a jerk of some kind. It would look like this, to where it literally just pulls on that shoulder. So when you come down, let it come down, use your hips to reload and snatch it back up to the overhead position. When you're done, set it down, grab some more weight, okay? That's all I got for you guys today. The one-arm dumbbell snatch is a great movement for your arsenal of exercises, especially if you're limited to just dumbbells, or if you don't have the mobility, or you don't even care about using the barbell for the barbell snatch. It is a very technical movement, but this is a great way to deliver that explosive power to your workouts, not only with minimal equipment, but with a really, really small learning curve. I love this movement. I love kettlebell snatches and one-arm dumbbell snatches. They work great, they work explosively, and you don't need years and years of training to be able to use it correctly, okay? And you don't need a ton of shoulder mobility. You need a little bit, but it's a very, very effective movement, especially when you start working up and those weights above 50, even upwards of the hundreds. I've seen guys do one-arm dumbbell snatches with 120, 130. Very impressive, and you better believe they have to generate a ton of power through their body and explosiveness to be able to get that dumbbell from the hip to overhead in one single movement. That's all I got for you guys today. This has been John Chacon with Austin Performance Fitness and another segment of the Coach's Corner. Stronger every day. Peace.